What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about whether or not it will be too late if Kevin Durant comes back in this series to help the Golden State Warriors beat the Toronto Raptors if they're down. So let's see what they have to say.
We know you played here in Toronto 3 years. We know you're very confident about your pick. But how important is it for the Raptors to win Game 2 to keep this momentum going and seal the deal?
It's extreme, and I'm going to tell everybody something that people aren't discussing that actually is the only issue that I have with my pick. Kawhi Leonard don't even look healthy.
No, doesn't.
Kawhi Leonard is out there gimpy. He's out there limping.
Don't have his legs.
He don't have his legs. A couple of times when he went to the basket, he went in there weak. Did you see how he went in there on Greek Freak and just banged on him?
Yep.
How he was banging on Joel Embiid? He didn't have that spring yesterday.
Well, I got to admit to you, he did that even when he was limping. I mean, I was at the game, and I mean, when he rose up like that, it's like, listen, limping, he still did that. But he clearly does not look healthy.
But what a team has is guys when your star doesn't have it that night, when he needs a game or two, when his supporting cast picks him up, they did it. Siakam answered the bell.
And he also did something that I've never seen him do. I've been watching him play for a long time. We had the same college coach. He was actually holding his shorts during possessions while the other four guys were running the offense.
Question. Because this is strange to me. I had to cover the Eastern Conference Finals for us. I'm watching Kawhi Leonard, and he was gimpy during that series. He actually looked worse last night after 5 days rest than he did in Game 7.
The Raptors played like a team that they knew that their best player was hobbled, and they all knew that they had to pick up the intensity, the scoring, and play like a desperate basketball team. So to your question, I believe the Raptors are going to win Game 2 because the Golden State Warriors are the road team. I think that they're hobbled, and I think the Toronto Raptors are just deeper, more physical. And you ready for this? They're just better. The Raptors are better.
So I kind of agree with Jalen Rose, but I think the Golden State Warriors are going to win for a simple fact that, you know, you go down 2 games, it doesn't look too good. It doesn't look too good at all. And they already know how good the Toronto Raptors are. So I think that the Golden State Warriors are going to come back. And as far as Kawhi Leonard being hurt, his supporting cast definitely stepped it up to get his back. But I just don't know. I'm not too sure that they're going to be able to maintain what they did to be able to take care of the Golden State Warriors. And as far as Kevin Durant coming back, I think if he comes back for Game 3, it'll all depend on how the Golden State Warriors treat him. So if the Golden State Warriors are down 2-0 or down 2-0, and Kevin Durant comes back, I think if they treat Kevin Durant like, oh, well, Kevin Durant's here, he's our savior, and they just defer to him and they just put it all on him, then I think there's going to be trouble and they might not be able to pull it off. But if Kevin Durant comes back in Game 3 and the Golden State Warriors treat him like, okay, here's an extra piece to our puzzle, and everybody's working hard and firing all cylinders, including Kevin Durant, then I think they can come back and start winning again. But it's all on how the Golden State Warriors treat Kevin Durant. And definitely some of the Golden State Warriors definitely need to step up their game. Iguodala, like I said, last game, 6 points, 0 for 4, 3-point. Klay can step it up. He only had 21 points. Draymond Green could definitely step it up. He only had 10 points. Livingston only had 6 points. So I think all those guys can step it up. Now, I do understand the Toronto Raptors. They have guys too that can also step it up, but I can't see them stepping it up and maintaining the type of play that they've had. And I can definitely see Golden State stepping it up, because I know they're good for it and they can stay consistent with that. So I don't know, but it's still good. It was still a good win by the Raptors. And I think if Kevin Durant comes back, it'll all depend on how the Golden State Warriors play with him. So let's keep going.
But I'm asking you this question. The reason I asked you that question is because I need an explanation as to how somebody could look better in Game 7, and then 5 days later. I mean, it's not like you got injured in Game 7.
Game 6.
Got injured. Oh, no, sorry, Game 6. I apologize. Game 6. It's not like you got injured in Game 3. Mm-hmm. So you hobbled your way through Games 3, 4, 5, and 6. You close out in Game 6 Saturday night, and you actually look worse after 5 days rest than you did in Game 6.
I hate to say it, and that's why I brought this point up. What ends up happening, Stephen A., is you go from the period of being hurt, where you feel like you can play through the pain, to getting closer to being injured.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw yesterday. And this period of time between games 1 or 2, I guarantee you he's going to be getting a lot of treatment. I guarantee you they're going to try to make sure that he's at his optimum peak because they need game 2. If they're able to secure game 2, KD's going to come back during this series. But the problem is when he does, it's going to be too late. He'll come back like game 4. He'll come back like game 5. But the Raptors are already going to have a stranglehold on the series.
So I don't know if it'll be too late. Like I said, it all depends on how the Golden State Warriors play with Kevin Durant. If they come in, if Kevin Durant comes back and they just treat him like he's the almighty God and just give him the ball, then it might be trouble because he's going to need help too. But if they come in and act like he's just an extra man that could put some work in for us, then I think the Golden State Warriors can do what they need to do to pull themselves out of this hole. And again, with the defense, with defending Kawhi Leonard and everybody else, I think they might want to check on and off with the double teams with Kawhi Leonard just to keep the rest of their defense honest. Because if you're putting all your defense strategies into Kawhi, his supporting cast like Siakam and Gasol, they'll make you pay for it. And they'll make the shots like they did in game 1. So I think they need to check on and off of double teaming Kawhi and maybe spreading the defense to keep those guys honest and not let them think they'll have open, uncontested shots. Because I can't tell you how many open, uncontested shots Gasol had at the top of the key. I mean, he was just dropping him. I mean, nobody was around him, and he took his time. The whole play just stopped. Everybody just stopped to watch, Marc Gasol shoot the ball, and he was just dropping him. So as far as that, you need to contest that. Someone's got to check off and go contest that, even just a little bit. Don't let him think he just all day to just sit there and drop dimes. So as far as that, I think, they'll be all right. And as far as Kevin Durant coming back, it's all on how the Golden State Warriors play with him. And I trust that Steve Kerr will be able to figure out a way to strategy to incorporate Kevin Durant so he's effective, and so is everybody else. So let's keep going.
If KD comes back for too many games, they have too much firepower for anyone, I think. But Kawhi is the type of dude, just because he's quiet, don't get it bent. He takes the challenge. I was saying Kawhi Freak is going to see who the best player in the game is. And I thought the Greek Freak would be too much for him. He's too big. He's a bad matchup, physically, young, springy, the whole thing. And Kawhi thought, you saw Kawhi going, oh, that's the guy?
But
that's
what you're pointing to. You know what I'm pointing to? I'm pointing to Steve Kerr from open and tap. He was screaming at his guys, run, run, run. And I was like, yeah, they're bigger, so I understand. But it's almost like he said, this man, we got to run Kawhi.
Right.
But then I remember what Doc Rivers said to me. When Doc Rivers said on national television last week, he said, look, man, you got a situation where Magic said it. You might want to let Kawhi go off to keep everybody else cold.
Here's the thing about this is what I'm saying about Kawhi.
You might want to do that.
His shot wasn't falling because that's how I really saw the legs affecting him. The free throw shooting, the shot wasn't falling. He didn't.
But they were also getting the ball out of his hands.
Even though that's true, but even though Kawhi shoots line drive, he gets the shooter's bounce a lot because without the legs, you're not going to get that. That's what happened. But I'll say this: they need to win Game 2 at home. Just because they won Game 1, it's got nothing to do with momentum. Yeah. It has to do with defending home court. It is.
Jason, I want to come.
Golden State's going to have to win a road game to win the series. It is too early in the series to give up home
Jalen,
court.
I want to come to you with my strategy. If the Warriors going to win Game 2, I believe you stay home. You don't double nobody. You let Kawhi. Listen to this. Listen to this. You guard Kawhi one-on-one. Let him eat you alive. Because guess what? With those secondary options, if you keep them cold, you don't let them get into a rhythm because they're busy. They get to a point where they're spectating, watching Kawhi Leonard eat somebody alive. That might be your best chance. What do you think about that?
That's a great.
So I don't know about that, Stephen A. Smith, because that's what I was kind of thinking about doing for Game 2. Because Game 1, they put all the defensive resources into shutting down Kawhi, and the rest of the team made him pay for it. They paid for it. Siakam 32, Gasol had 20 points. Now, like I said before, they should probably spread the defense around, and instead of double teaming Kawhi the whole time, check off every now and then, and have those guys contest Siakam, Gasol, and Van Fleet. So just to keep them honest. Now, they may want to do a complete strategy change, like what Stephen A. says in Game 2, and, let Kawhi get whatever he's going to get. Make sure everybody else is locked down, but then just let Kawhi beat you guys. So that might be a good strategy, too. So by the time it gets to Game 3, they've tried both strategies, and they can see which one works, and they can do whichever defensive strategy works in Game 3. And if Kevin Durant comes back, that's just everything that they'll be rolling on all cylinders. So let's keep going.
Theory, except it's a day late and a dollar short.
Okay.
You should have did that in game 1.
Okay.
He came out, he was hobbled. They blitzed him. They double teamed him. They triple teamed him.
Right.
And he actively just gave up the ball and allowed people to go to work.
Right.
In game 2, if you stay home, now all of a sudden the great player gets you the game that you need that's really important on your home floor, and he erupts for 40 points, and you go up.
So I don't, Jalen Rose, it's not too late for anything after game 1. As you've only had one game, you've only had a chance to show one type of defense, to play one type of defense, to play guys in different manners. So after game 1, it's not too late for anything because anything can change, anything can go. Now when you get to game 2 and move on to game 3, that's when you have patterns set in and you can really see that, maybe we shouldn't be doing this or it's too late to try this because they're already up. But as far as being after game 1, too late for try any type of defensive strategy, no way. I say no way. Maybe game 2, but game 1, anything can go. You tweak your defense and you find another way that'll work to shut whoever down, you'll be good. But it's not too late, Jalen Rose. It's not too late. So let's keep going.
But I'm saying somebody like Magic and Doc was making the case that if he explodes, you still got a better shot at beating them because of supporting cast. That's what they're saying.
That's my point. So if you do that in game 1, now we're sitting here saying Kawhi had 45 and the Raptors won and nobody else did anything. But now in game 2, those guys are already confident.
But what if you win game 2 is what I'm saying. What if you win game 2 by letting Kawhi explode but shutting everybody else out? What if you win that game that way? Golden State is still in a great position because it's 1-1. Going back to the Oracle.
I think it worked out perfectly for the Toronto Raptors. Okay. I think in game 1, the way they were blitzing, the way they were trapping, the way they were basically leaving Marc Gasol open in the middle of the floor to eat. He had a couple of times he could have laid the ball up.
That's right.
He didn't even realize how open he was.
And open from 3, too, wide open.
And let's say all this. Let's say one other thing too. Pascal Siakam was the best player on the court
last night. That's right.
He was the best player. He got steals, he got blocks, he got dunks, he made threes, he got it in transition.
I think the big picture reason why that's not going to work with Kawhi is the reason he's the best player in the world. LeBron got to the place Kawhi got to. Wasn't there at first. Steph's not there. Harden is far from it. If you dare Kawhi to beat you, fate of the universe on the line, 4th quarter, clock ticking down, Kawhi will beat you. That he doesn't go away. In those big moments, Kawhi is at his best.
But that's not daring him.
Oh, come on, Max. So you're saying that off of one playoff year that all of a sudden now Kawhi Leonard's the best player ever and, he'll beat you no matter what you try to do. And if you treat challenger, he'll beat you. Now, you can't say that off of one great playoff year. I know Kawhi Leonard's won a ring before, but you can't go put him all this high off of one playoff year and off of one game in the finals against the Golden State Warriors. There's too many other factors at play there for you to just throw Kawhi Leonard up in the sky like that as being the best player. Because I guarantee you'll be flip-flopping if the Golden State Warriors win in 2 days or 3 days, whatever it is. I guarantee you that. So let's keep going.
If you dare that dude to beat you, he will do it.
That's not daring him to